Kamala Harris, her campaign, and the Democrats are another matter. Do you have any idea how pathetic y'all look? You've got nothing. If you're the Democratic Party, here's my advice to you. Shut up.
Damn!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Opinions Varied. It's Opinions with an A. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we got to go back to Stephen A. Smith. I enjoy Stephen A. Smith. No, I don't always agree with him politically, but I think he's a smart guy. And he's coming around a lot. He's on Mark Levin here talking about somebody who's very smart, Mark Levin. And they're going to talk about Stephen A. Smith possibly voting for Donald Trump if he could. Obviously, he can't in 2028. Donald Trump is not eligible. But I think Stephen A. Smith is, number one, gettable to come to the right side. And two, I think Stephen A. Smith might be trying to dip his toes in the water a little bit to see if he might want to run for some kind of office in the very near future. I'm just saying that. I'm not getting that from anywhere. That's just what I'm thinking. I think he sees an opportunity that there is a slot for him in that party, a common sense slot, maybe in the Democrat Party or as an independent. We'll see. Anyway, interesting as always, Stephen A. Smith with Mark Levin. Let's go.
Stephen A. Smith, so could you see yourself seeing what you see now? And obviously Donald Trump can't run for president again, but if he could, under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore. I think we're beyond that. He would have to prove a lot, Mark. And I'm not talking about policy now. For a second, allow me to say this. What concerned me about Donald Trump, and the reason I voted against him and voted for Kamala Harris, was because I felt that he would be divisive, that he would create chaos because he demands such a level of loyalty and fealty to him. And that would take priority over governing our nation.
I don't agree. I think any politician, especially if you're going to run for president, feels that they want people to be completely loyal and show some sort of fealty to them. I think that's part of the job. And I also think every president has a supreme level of narcissism. That's just how it is. You have to have that in order to even tolerate and withstanding running for that position.
That was my concern. And so I'm looking for both sides to work across the aisle from one another. Having said that,
you will not get the Democrats to work with Donald Trump. It's impossible.
That when you see some of the things that he said, if he follows through on some of the things that he has said, it's not just about eradicating inflation, improving the economy, obviously controlling our borders. These are all things that I care about. Make no mistake about that. And I certainly would support him in that regard. But it can't be just about fealty to him and loyalty to him. It has to be about getting the job done on behalf of what's in the best interest of the American people, as opposed to yourself, and not engaging in the kind of juvenile tendencies, tweeting all the time and going after people who are really much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You do things like that and you show that you're the adult in the room. Yeah. I don't think anybody could dismiss Donald Trump at this particular moment in time, not just because of him, but because of what we've seen the Democrats do. We're not falling for it any longer. The American people aren't falling for it any longer. I voted Democrat, and I got to tell you something right now. I don't like the fact that I did.
Well, that's a big statement right there. That's something that's pretty big of him to admit that. Not many people will come on television and admit that. He's one of them, which is why I think he's the type of person that could have a chance to actually have a political career. I think he could. He's very well spoken, very articulate, obviously entertaining, charismatic. He's got it all. Depends on if he wants to do it or not. Now, what he said about Donald Trump's first term was about doing things for the American people. I think people like Stephen A. Smith were so TDS affected and so bought into the media narrative that they just didn't see it. And in a way, they still can't see it.
I don't like what I'm saying. I don't want to hear about, oh, we're about law. We're about a law. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. But then you go out and you pardon your son and you try to blame everybody else for it. I don't want to hear about defund the police. I don't want to hear about, there should be open borders. I don't want to hear this stuff. And I don't think most of the American people want to hear that.
They also don't want to hear about men playing in women's sports or getting dressed and undressed and showering in women's locker rooms.
We're thinking about the state of affairs that's in. We're not about America only, but being about America and prioritizing what's going on in this nation with the desolate and the disenfranchised and everybody else in between, and looking out for the best interest of what it is for America. That is not a crime for an American politician or a commander-in-chief or a senator or a congressional figure to have that mentality.
That's called America First.
I want them to have that mentality. So I think about things along those lines. And I'm no longer interested in, nor do I believe any of us should be interested in in listening to a bunch of fear-mongering to tell us who we shouldn't vote for. Why don't you come up with a plan that tells us why we should vote for you? That's what I'm interested in. And if Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Byron Donald, Marco Rubio, or the host of other Republican candidates coming down the pike, that's the kind of message that they're going to put forth, I'm down for it. I'm open-minded enough to make sure that I entertain that from a policy perspective. That's what I want for the American people. That's what I want for this nation. Well,
he's going to give a Super Bowl prediction in a minute, which I could care less about, but I know some of you do, so I'll let him give it. So we'll get to that in a second. But I think he's finally maybe paying attention to what Republicans are actually saying and not just listening to the media and what his echo chamber has told him. Remember, he's ESPN. He's in an echo chamber in that place. He's finally, I think, stepped out, which I will give him credit for, because a lot of the people, if they have, they won't publicly come out and say it. He will. He's saying it. Again, that's why I think he's dipping his toes in the water to see the kind of response he gets.
That's why we love you, my man. Now, one quick question. I don't have a lot of time left.
Sure.
You get this all the time. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Kind of a dumb question, but I like it anyway.
I got to tell you something right now. You can never count out Patrick Mahomes, the reigning two-time defending Super Bowl champion. But this guy, Josh Allen, with the Buffalo Bills, the way he's looking right now, he's my leading candidate for league MVP honors. He looks absolutely phenomenal. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Philadelphia Eagles played the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills ended up winning a Super Bowl championship. The way this kid is looking, he's looking that special.
I know. And you know, you've got great quarterbacks everywhere, and he's like the standout of the bunch. It's unbelievable. Stephen A., I love your show on ESPN. I love your other shows that you're doing. I'm glad you're stepping out and you're doing other things. You're a very smart guy. And God bless you, my friend.
God bless you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and yours, buddy. You take care.
You too, brother.
So I don't know anything about football anymore. I used to be a huge fan, but once, the Colin Kaepernick thing started, I was out, and I haven't looked back. I talk with my wallet. That's what happened. I will never go back. Anyway, but I will say this. To win 3 Super Bowls in a row, pretty much impossible. I don't think, just knowing what I know about football, watching it for as long as I did, I don't see Kansas City being able to go that deep again and make another run for the Super Bowl. It's too many games, too many chances for injuries. The luck that they would need just to get back to the Super Bowl, as far as health, just health alone, would be pretty amazing. But back to Stephen A. Smith. Tell me what you guys think in the comments about him coming out, having the courage to come out, speak his mind, make a lot of sense. Do you think Stephen A. Smith is gettable to come to the Republican Party, or do you think he's going to run for office? What do you think? I think that's why he's going on these shows. I think that's why he's putting himself out there. I think he wants to. It's a big decision. You do something like that, all of a sudden the people that like you, they start to not like you so much. We saw that with Donald Trump, right? The most loved billionaire in the world became one of the most despised, hated people on the planet. So depends on if you want to go down that road. I sure wouldn't. So tell me what you think in the comments. I appreciate you watching. Follow me on X. Follow me on TikTok at Opinions Vary. We'll see you next time right here at Opinions Vary.
Opinions vary.